It's going to be Clay Spicklemire, Mardu Pyromancer versus Jacob Saracino on Jeskai Control. Team of Koch, Spicklemire, and McCord currently in second place here. Another win here, and they're getting awfully close to locking in that top 8 spot.
Spicklemire will be on the draw here. This is a matchup where neither player particularly cares about playing first. Both of these decks are trying to generate small incremental advantages over time.
Yeah, so I think because this is going to be a long game, you're looking for a card like Search for Azcanta on turn 2 for Jacob Saracino. Some sort of value engine would really play well here.
Right. Search would be ideal, and then you don't ever want to get Blood Mooned.
Right. Now, if a Blood Moon does resolve game 1, what does Jacob have ways to knock it off the board?
It kind of depends, right? So there's 3 basic islands, and there are cryptic commands in the deck. So you have to draw those. You can also use one of these 2 copies of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. That can take care of things. But the odds of dealing with a Resolved Blood Moon are kind of slim. There's a few options potentially available.
Yeah, a 1 of Negate, I think, is his only hard answer outside those cryptics. Steam Vents and Basic Planes for Jacob. Now, of note in this matchup, for the build Jacob's playing today, he's on the full 4 cryptic commands. A lot of times we'll see players play 2 or 3. Having the full playset of the big spell here should be good in this kind of matchup.
Yeah, you definitely want to catch Bedlam Reveler on the way down every time. And these cryptic commands will supplement these 3 copies of Logic Knot in executing that game plan. Now, you got to be able to execute these things through getting hit by Thoughtseizes and Inquisition of Kozilek. Clay on 3 copies of Thoughtseize, 4 copies of Inquisition. Those are really going to be powerful spells in this matchup.
So far, it's mana development from both players. And our first play will be Lingering Souls from Spicklemire. Gets hit by a negate, but this shows you just some of the difficulties of this matchup from the Jeskai side. It's already a 2-for-1 for Clay.
Right. I have a long history of losing to Lingering Souls with blue decks. And I don't mean decks featuring Lingering Souls. I mean the fact that my opponent cast Lingering Souls at all.
Sure. Here's Young Pyromancer from Clay. That'll get hit by a Spell Snare. And a flashback on Lingering Souls. Clay hoping to get 3 tokens off the spell. He'll settle for 2.
Right. The Pyromancer is going to get hit by something one way or the other. Spell Snare is a bit worse than getting hit by a Lightning Bolt just because you lose the elemental token on the flashback here. Jacob missed on the 4th land. I believe he missed the 3rd land drop on the first try as well.
He did, so it's 2 missed land drops. On Clay's side, the missed land drops don't matter as much. His deck functions well on low mana. I don't feel the same way about Jeskai.
Right, and frequently you're going to see Clay just discard lands to Faithless Looting, make sure he can have a handful of spells. For Jacob, he wants to hit land drops, cast Cryptic Commands, cast Snapcaster Mage, flashing back Cryptic Command. It's like Clay discards a Mountain and second Faithless Looting. It's one of my favorite cards to discard with Faithless Looting is second Faithless Looting. That way, the second one, you just get to flash it back. You don't deal with the first cast where you actually go down a card in hand.
Four mana up for Clay. That Cold Guns command you mentioned, it does have a great 2-for-1 mode at the ready. That Young Pyromancer hanging out in the graveyard. We'll see if Jacob can hit lands.
The discard mode is only kind of a 2-for-1. I think that unless Jacob casts a spell, he's actually discarding for hand size.
Okay, yeah.
So I would wait on the Goligon's command.
Clay's going to cast it here.
This is another instant to add to the graveyard if he has a Bedlam Reveler in hand.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of just velocity going on Clay's side. Where just, the more he casts things and does things, that helps him cast the next thing. Brings back Young Pyromancer, draws another Bedlam Reveler. Zachary with Infect, Clay's teammate, takes game 1 in Legacy. Bryant 2-0'd last time. Looks like more of a difficult go this time around.
One way or the other, I'd be amazed if that's not the first match done.
Yes.
Both players are just firing fast.
Yeah, we do have a red mirror on the standard table, but I think, right now, Legacy's going quicker.
Yeah. I mean, one-mana 1/1s are fine and all. But the one-mana 1/1s in the Legacy seed have double strike.
Land 5 here from Spicklemire. Hits in for 2 with Jacob down to 15. Saracino's cast very few cards. We're going to see Snapcaster Mage, and that gives Saracino an opportunity. He will Snapcast a Spell Snare on it.
Oh, there's been multiple spells cast with flashbacks, so I'm going to check that bingo square here.
Just multiple. Okay, not like in a turn, just in general?
No, I mean, my square is just spell cast with flashback once.
Oh, okay.
It's happened a bunch of times.
And we saw more Lingering Souls from Clay Spicklemire. Jacob draws land 4. He'll say go. Spicklemire is getting to a great spot. 5 lands in play, 6th in hand, 2 Bedlam Revelers.
Jacob finally in range to have Cryptic Command mana.
But there's pressure on the board. Clay goes to attacks. Jacob just takes 4.
Yeah, once that Cryptic Command is online, you're not going to really see Clay cast any main phase 1 spells. You don't want to have them countered and have your creatures tapped on top of it.
Clay's hand is Dreadbore, land, and 2 Bedlam Revelers. We have a fair number of spells in the graveyard.
There's enough to cast a Bedlam Reveler if you're interested in that.
Yeah, Clay's actually going to flashback Faithless Looting. Draws land, Fatal Push. So that'll give him some things to discard. He'll discard all the 2 cards he drew. So.
Yeah, both Dreadbore and Fatal Push not of too much consequence. I do like that he held on to the Dreadbore. Sometimes you want to hit it to Fairy or Jace the Mind Sculptor in this matchup. Fatal Pushing Snapcaster Mage, not really what the game's about whatsoever.
And you see Clay just managing his velocity here of how much he wants to commit. He could Dreadbore the Snapcaster. He could flashback a Lingering Souls. He's actually going to do neither here and just pass the turn.
Yeah, there's no reason to really apply more pressure on the battlefield as you become really liable to just getting blown out by a Supreme Verdict, a Wrath of God, some kind of sweeper effect.
Opt end step from Saracino. Now, teams have evened things up on the standard table. Red-black with Matthew Cotrupe wins game 1. End step Jacob will start to work on Lingering Souls. Lightning Helix will shoot down 1 of them. Shows just the difficulty that Jeskai can have in managing this card.
Yeah. When you start pointing spot removal spells at individual spirit tokens, it feels bad.
At least he's gaining life off it, so there's an upside.
He does have 2 copies of Electrolyze in the main deck this weekend. That's one of your better cards against Lingering Souls. So you have to draw it.
And Teferi, Hero of Dominaria from Jacob. He'll draw, get to untap 2. Now, Clay does have that Dreadbore ready. This is a mighty fine target for it.
Yeah, if Jacob has not drawn one of these logic knots, then Clay should make short work of that Teferi.
Oh, he'll try for it. Here's Dreadbore at the Planeswalker. And if he does have the logic knot, that means Clay will have a window for Bedlam Reveler. Logic knot is going to happen. Now, multiple Bedlam Revelers never does particularly much. You always discard one to the other. But
Right.
You like to chain them is the ideal way to play it.
Yeah, you don't want your hand to get too heavy on them before you cast 1 because you want to have the leftovers in your deck.
3 mana Bedlam Reveler for Clay finds him land spell. And it looks like Jacob's going to get to keep that Teferi around for a bit. Clay attacks it down to 2. If this becomes a mid-range fight, Teferi is up to the job.
Teferi is the ultimate beatdown, I have been told.
Look at it go. He's just beaten down.
Jacob will need something to protect the Teferi from these 3 spirit tokens next turn, and there's kind of a myriad of things that will do that. Even just a spot removal spell will buy him another turn with the Teferi, give him another extra card. But a sweeper here, Cryptic Command, those would all be great for this purpose. A Cryptic Command would be pretty good. Electrolyze would be great. He does have an Electrolyze in hand.
That's the nice part. When you play Teferi, you just tend to have things in your hand.
It's funny how that works, right?
Search for Ascanta from Jacob. And Teferi will untap the lands used to cast Search. So far, so good.
Clay is going to need to start drawing some spells here. Pretty far behind on the board just by virtue of the Teferi. You know, he has some creatures here. We know those spirit tokens aren't long for this world, and the Bedlam Reveler is not worth a ton. The big thing it does is draws those cards. The body isn't. It's fine. You can't lightning bolt it, but you can certainly path to exile it. When you're drawing extra cards with Teferi, it's also not a huge cost to throw 2 lightning bolts at it.
Sure. Game has gotten significantly more interesting here since those Lingering Souls. Now both players really with developed mana making their haymakers, just to get to see who hits harder.
Mm-hmm. Right now, it's certainly looking like Jacob is starting to turn the corner.
Yeah. I mean, if you get to the point where Teferi and Ascanta are both going, I don't know that Clay comes back from that.
Yeah. Jace the Mind Sculptor was never a huge deal for Mardu, but the introduction of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, that certainly added some points to the Jeskai side of the matchup.
So 3 Spirit Tokens at Teferi, no attack with Bedlam Reveler. Is Respecting maybe settle the wreckage here?
He doesn't necessarily want to just trade the Reveler with Snapcaster plus Red Spell.
Okay.
I think there's an argument for that.
So we see is in a swing from Clay, Jacob will electrolyze down 2 of the Spirit Tokens, and then before the draw, Clay will bolt Teferi. So it means that last Spirit Token is attacking a Planeswalker that's no longer there, so no damage in that sense. Clay 2 mana means time for more Lingering Souls. Time to reload the supplies. And we'll see Jacob end step opt. And path to exile on Bedlam Reveler. I like Jacob at this point just making sure to spend all his mana every turn because he has card advantage engines going, like Search for Ascanta. It's not about how many cards he can draw, it's also about how many cards he can actually cast.
Right. And for Clay, that second mountain on the battlefield, he has the 2 swamps. He discarded a mountain earlier. That means the deck is now out of basic lands. He has plenty of mana to work with, though. I can't imagine that being very significant.
Does mean cards like this Field of Ruin are just upside for Saracino. That's assuming he has more basics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can start going to work on white mana for sure. It doesn't do a ton for the deck, but hitting Sacred Foundry would be some inroads on what Clay is able to do.
Yeah, this is only white source right now. I think there is a Lingering Souls in Clay's hand, so he'll knock the Sacred Foundry off, and this might just be a win.
In fact, the Sacred Foundry tends to be the only white source in the Mardu deck, and that's going to be true for Clay's list as well.
So he'll have to find a way to discard Lingering Souls if he wants to use it.
Right.
Your pairings for round number 1 are headed to the gold
Mountain from Jacob. He's now also out of basic lands.
black gathering point. Please find
Makes the play, passes, leaving up Search for Ascanta. And back to Spicklemire will go. Still 11 and 16 are the life totals. An attack for 3 will put Saracino to 8. Clay gonna that uncastable Lingering Souls. He's gonna try for Liliana of the Veil.
That's a good one for putting Lingering Souls in your graveyard.
Yeah, it's a great one if it can resolve here. See if it does.
Clay didn't leave back any blockers, possibly partly because he wasn't super confident in his ability to resolve the Liliana. Another thing about it, he gets to discard the souls if he does and then flash that back.
And Jacob, interestingly, Ryan, he discarded Logic Knot, despite rather than casting it on Liliana.
That is a weird one. Last card in hand must be something good, but
yeah,
he has the attack with a Snapcaster on the Liliana. Possibly he just thinks that he can beat it up and make it of no consequence and get a card out of Clay's hand, but the Mardu deck is really good at taking advantage of discarding cards.
Flashes back those souls, says go. We'll see. What was Jacob holding on to? Looks like Snapcaster Mage. And there's a lot going on here. He had a good play of Azcanta plus Logic Knot, so let's see what he's flashing back. It must be something
I would assume
much stronger.
Electrolyze, and he gets to attack the Liliana down.
Okay, yeah, removes the blockers. Now he can remove Liliana.
I'm not convinced this is better than countering the Liliana.
Sure.
I understand this line.
Because countering Liliana means that you could use Azcanta as well.
Right. Also, just like you don't have to discard the Logic Knot, you get to convert it.
Attacks with Snapcasters, takes care of Liliana.
And I believe the Clay does have another copy of Lightning Bolt in hand. There it is. His hand is Lightning Bolt, Bedler Reveler. He's not using Lightning Bolt to block for these Snapcaster Mages. He's just trying to apply some pressure here. All right, so Clay has Jacob down to 8. Wants to try to get in for 2 more attacks and see if he can make that Lightning Bolt good. Alternatively, he could go for the Lightning Bolt and cast the Bedlam Reveler this turn.
Saracino to 5. Well, he has Bolt Colligan's command, so he actually has lethal burn at the moment.
All right, this hand is an argument for playing it a little more patiently, at least waiting for Jacob to activate the Search for Azcanta before you start casting spells.
So Jacob's going to do that, and in response, Clay's going to go for... looks like he's going to go for lethal here. We see Colgan's command for Bedlam Reveler, and I'm guessing it's dealing 2. Yeah, Jacob down to 3. And he'll go for a lethal Lightning Bolt. And Jacob doesn't have an answer. Clay will go ahead and get this one. And despite Saracino surviving and kind of turning the corner in the card advantage game, Mardu shows another avenue attack. Sure, he's behind in card advantage, but he can win on the life total.
Yeah, the deck just has a lot of reach.
Yeah, and what highlighted there, I think, is Jeskai's inability to deal with Lingering Souls tokens. Despite being up so many cards, Jacob just couldn't stop taking attacks.
Some would say that Lingering Souls is the ultimate beatdown.
They beat up Teferi this time.
That's true.
So Saracino down a game. Now his teammate Matthew Cotrupe has finished the match on the standard table. So their team has one of them. And Zach Koch won 2-0 on the legacy table. So this is going to be the deciding match here between Saracino and Spicklemire. And we kind of expected this would be the long one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's both the other matches finishing in about the time it took for that first game. This is certainly the most grindy affair that we have available here.
Well, let's take a look at their sideboards. So on Saracino's side, I'd love to see some ways to deal with Lingering Souls tokens, but I don't actually see too many of them. He's got Dispel, Celestial Purge, Surgical Extraction, Damping Sphere, Negate, Disdainful Stroke, Vendilion Click, Settle the Wreckage, Wear Tear, Lyra, and Timely Reinforcements. I was looking for an Izzet Staticaster here.
Yeah, or an Engineered Explosives. Those are both the kind of things you would look for. There's a couple things to like. Celestial Purge is pretty all right in the matchup. There's Lilianas, Young Pyromancers, Bedlam Revelers, so it's kind of okay at all of that. Surgical Extraction is another card that's okay. It's a deck that's heavy on stuff to flashback. Hitting their Faithless Lootings can actually be kind of a big deal. Even if you can just counter and Surgical the first Bedlam Reveler, that can really take away a lot of Mardu's staying power. Settled Wreckage is not bad in the matchup. There's going to be a lot of creatures attacking you. And I actually like Lyra Dawnbringer a good amount.
Yeah, that one's pretty interesting. It will force Clay to leave in some amount of removal. Mm-hmm. Now on Clay's side, 3 Molten Rains, 2 Kumbals. I know that was part of his burn plan. 2 Wear Tears, 2 Surgical Zone, 2 Rabble Masters, 2 Collective Brutality, Engineer Explosives, a Liliana Last Hope, and then a Nile Spellbomb.
I think the Molten Rains are just great. They're a bit worse on the draw than they are on the play. But if you're able to keep Jacob on low mana, it becomes really difficult to cast Cryptic Command to leverage Snapcaster Mage. This card can be quite powerful in the matchup. Comball's okay.
Now, when you Molten Rain this matchup, are you going for their non-basics to deal damage, or are you actually trying to hit their basics so that you can Blood Moon them?
It depends on the context of the game very heavily. If you're just curving Young Pyromancer into Molten Rain and your Pyromancer doesn't die, then yeah, deal some damage. That's great. If you're setting up Blood Moon in a longer game, I could see an argument for making that kind of play. In general, though, I would expect dealing damage. Destroying Celestial Colonnade tends to be a big deal. You can go heavier on threats, like the Rabble Master is okay. The one card I really like is the Liliana the Last Hope. It's quite good at grinding. And the Collective Brutality is also pretty good in the matchup. Clear the way for cryptic commands, that kind of thing. Make sure your threats are good.
Yeah, I feel like the Rabble Masters are in here for matchups where Clay needs additional pressure, so combo matchups, things where they won't actually remove the Rabble Master. I don't think this is one of those matchups.
Yeah, it doesn't trade great with any of the removal spells on the other side. The only thing it would try to do is overload removal, though I don't think you have to do that.
And both players keeping on 7 for our second game. It's a Colonnade from Saracino. We'll get a look at his hand as Clay fires off Inquisition of Kozilek.
It's like a lot of lands.
4 lands, an Opt, and a Celestial Purge. I'll take the Purge.
I'm expecting the Purge.
You know, or you could just take the Opt. Yeah, let's take the.
Ooh.
I like that. That sounds. My hand's not. Purge is not good against my hand. If Clay's hand is just like a second land and some Lingering Souls, like yeah, take his Opt.
Okay, I dig it.
Can't even Celestial Purge a token. And if you could, he'd probably be okay with that.
Right.
And that is exactly what he has here. Well, we're just has Thoughtseize for the other one. Fires it off, finds Cryptic Command to go with that Celestial Purge.
Now I'd probably take the Cryptic Command.
Yeah, just keep it going. His hand has at least 2 copies of Lingering Souls.
It's pretty good against Celestial Purge and lands.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we'll just... Who's the beatdown, I think is what we would ask here.
Right.
I think it's Lingering Souls.
I believe that Clay Spicklemire is the beatdown. Much to the dismay of Jonathan Rossum.
Well, he doesn't have the Teferi in his hand, that's why. How can you beat down if you don't draw the Teferi?
Yeah, you got to draw Teferi if you want to beat down. In the lore, Teferi, most known for the ability to throw a good punch, hit a great right hook.
He punches them so hard they go 3 cards into the deck.
Yeah, that's actually the flavor of the card. Not a lot of players know this, but the Vorthos community has been blown up about it.
Yeah, it's just knocks the guy back into the library. Just wallops him with the staff.
Speaking of a wallop, I believe Clay is going to start casting these Lingering Souls.
All right. Jacob's hand was a Celestial Purge last time we saw it. He's had a turn to pick up a different card. And here are those souls. The first 2 Souls tokens. His teammate Brian Cook and Matthew Cotrupe looking on. They know this one's going to decide it. And nice play by Jacob. A heads-up thing on the deck's red sheet to Field of Ruin the Sacred Foundry immediately.
Yeah.
That is the only white source.
Right. Unlikely that Clay boarded in a Plains. We saw this be good in Game 1 as well.
And there is a second Souls in Clay's hand, so that will do work.
Yeah. He'll be looking to resolve a Faithless Looting to get that one online, or maybe a Liliana of the Veil like we saw in Game 1.
Swing for 2, Saracino to 17. See a young Pyromancer from Clay.
Ooh, if this curves into Faithless Looting, that'd be amazing.
Even if it curves into Flashback Lingering Souls, that's not bad. Now, what it curves into is nothing. Clay doesn't have a 4th land.
It's less good when it curves into nothing.
Lightning Bolt from Saracino takes care of the Pyromancer. Land 5. No follow-up. We'll go back over to Clay.
Saracino getting close to the point of just throwing Celestial Colonnade in front of these Spirit tokens for a while.
Yeah.
If Clay does not mount any additional pressure, that's actually good.
He'll make another young Pyromancer.
Always be casting.
This time it can be Cryptic Command, and I think Jacob may be going for just that. That is the play. Counter draw from Saracino.
Yeah, because it's a discard-heavy matchup, there's a lot of spots where you just want to fire off your Cryptic Command if you have a window.
Yes.
And if you don't have a removal spell for that young Pyromancer, it can also get out of hand. So it makes sense to tag that one.
Jacob 6th land and says go. There's an argument here, Ryan, actually for him just trying to beat down with the Colonnade. He's not actually behind in the race.
That is true. Yeah, Clay has taken a bit of damage. The Mana Base, the Thoughtseize.
Swings in and Collective Brutality, discarding Lingering Souls to escalate. Fine play here from Clay.
Yeah, hoping to look at the hand and get in a little chip shot here. With the mana being left up, yeah.
Snapcaster Cryptic, yeah.
That's what I'd expect.
Another counter draw from Jacob. And now the clock is even. Both players attacking for 2. Clay to 11. Despite a great start from Clay on all those discard spells, the lack of mana meant a lack of pressure. And Teferi, Hero of Dominaria from Jacob should put him ahead.
Firmly answering the question of who the beatdown is.
Well, now he is. He drew Teferi.
Right. Rossum is so wise.
You don't bolt the bird so that you can beat down with Teferi. He attacks Teferi down to 3. Attempts to make Young Pyromancer before bolting the Teferi. Jacob has a Spell Snare, but the bolt still happens. Teferi's down.
Yeah, Clay definitely prefers that it was Spell Snare for the Pyromancer and not Logic Knot for the Lightning Bolt.
And now Jacob indicating to his teammates, hey, is it time to turn the corner here? He can attack with Colonnade and leave up Celestial Purge. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Once again, 10:30 a.m. Legacy Challenge players.
You force Clay to give some consideration to blocking. He will be able to flash back Lingering Souls on the following turn, so he has some options on that front, but I do like the attack from Saracino.
Surgical Extraction from Jacob.
Okay, so on the topic of flashing back Lingering Souls.
Yeah, is he going to take the souls?
I imagine that's our target.
And Kolaghan's Command, Bedlam Reveler land. Well, Koch should just be clear then for that Colonnade.
This will cost Saracino 2 life.
Not irrelevant here.
So Spicklemire continues to kind of have this issue with mana. Being able to use Bedlam Reveler and Kolaghan's Command this turn would be a lot better than choosing one or the other. Honestly, might just have to let the command go. Just cast the Reveler. I guess I'm not sure what the instant and sorcery count is.
We're going to see Kolaghan's Command.
On the upkeep,
Yeah.
shock the Snapcaster Mage, see if you can get Saracino to discard a card.
Okay. 22 minutes remaining, and looks like this one may go to a game 3. Clay got some information there. He now knows that surgical extractions have been brought in.
Right. So in response to the Kolaghan's Command, the stuff that Jacob's evaluating makes it look a lot like he has Snapcaster Mage, and he does. He's thinking about whether he wanted to surgical something with it. Goes on Cryptic Command instead.
That's going to be a tap with Cryptic Command.
Yeah, this makes it so Clay is now dead to Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. Back over to Clay we go. He's down to 3 on that Snapcaster attack.
Yeah, quick check on the cost of Bedlam Reveler. Looks like it's 3.
Discards Liliana, draws 3. Drew a Thought Seize. Not really want to cast that one anymore. You technically can.
The difference between 1 and 3 isn't huge. He does officially have to block all of the Snapcaster Mages all the time if he casts that. Oh, 2 Thoughtseizes?
Yeah, well, the second one's not good.
Yeah, the second one is clearly terrible. The first one might be okay.
He's drawn Kumbal as well. It's another white spell, which I don't mind the card in the matchup, except for the fact of what's happening here with the one of Sacred Foundry. You see Clay's going to go ahead and pick up cards. We go to game 3. I'm concerned about boarding in more white cards when your mana's being attacked.
Yeah, there's generally not too many Field of Ruins in Jeskai, but once they take care of your Sacred Foundry, then yeah, that kind of stuff gets really bad.
So a third game will decide between Jacob and Clay Spicklemire. So StarCityGames.com, for the last year, we've been doing Star City Games Game Night. That's tournaments at local stores all around the country where you get exclusive pins and tokens as prizes from Star City Games just for playing. This month, by showing up, you can receive the Playing with Fire pin. That's the same one we have on our jackets here. It's this dragon, as long with the 4/4 token. That'll be continuing for the next 3 weeks. In August, we'll be giving away the Order of the First Cheese. It's this mouse riding a cat. The mouse has clearly been dubbed a knight. It's a knight ally. The cat is its steed. That all makes sense. You can get that as a prize. And in September, we'll give Garden Tendencies. This is the Westvale Abbey panda. Just kind of just watering the garden. All these are available. You can find a store near you. StarCityGames.com/game night.
It's got that spooky Ormond doll looming in the back.
Panda just has no idea. Look at those eyes.
Right, which is not really flavorful with Westvale Abbey, where the cultists were very much aware. I don't know, maybe this panda's up to something. It's a sinister beast.
Those eyes, he's just blissfully evil. He knows he's summoning a demon, just watering the garden.
Yeah.
He's way creepier now.
Don't step on the flowers. Meanwhile, I'll be summoning a giant demon to destroy your town. But mind the garden, please. It's always something that makes villains just a little bit more chilling, is when they have this very human element to them.
Yes.
Like the crime boss that just tends a garden, has a cute little puppy.
Yeah, the more relatable they get, the scarier they get.
Right.
I always like those in the crime movies where, you'll have some hitman guy, and then I'll be like, can't believe you got something on the carpet. I'm going to have to clean that later. Just like, wow, okay. I mean, yeah.
I have to live here, Ooh, getting some World Cup updates
What do we have?
for you soccer fans.
Do we have a champion?
France is up 4-2 at the 90th minute.
Sounds like
you asked
like
me.
we do.
You asked me
do.
this morning who was going to win the World
You
Cup.
did say France.
And first I asked you who was in the finals.
That a relevant question.
Right, so that I could better inform my answer. But if France was my prediction.
Both players going to 6 here for our third game.
Given the fact that Jeskai just needs more lands to operate than Mardu, I would say a double mulligan is going to benefit Clay. You see, Cryptic Command costs 4 mana.
Okay.
And Bedlam Reveler costs 2 mana.
So how do we feel about the management of the one of Sacred Foundry in this matchup? Especially if Clay has Kumbal in.
It's a little bit dicey. I mean, Jeskai generally can't go too heavy on Field of Ruin. There are 2 available for Saracino. I think for a card like Kumbal, which is medium impact, it's probably not worth it. Lingering Souls remains excellent, but I kind of agree with you. I don't want to go heavy on white spells unless they're kind of knockouts.
Does Kumbal count as a knockout for you?
No. Kumbal just kind of works the body,
All right.
It trades with a lightning bolt, and you get a little bit of value. Yeah, it's a good jab, but certainly not a knockout.
It's a body shot. Oh, now we're not soccer, no, but the boxing metaphors. We're into those.
That's not a great analogy for Kumbal in a game of soccer.
Oh, no. That. Do you want to just wear him down?
I mean, soccer is certainly a game of endurance.
Kumbal's just like a strong passing game.
Sure.
They can defend against it, but even when they do, you're winning.
I buy it.
They're running twice as hard.
I really enjoy I really enjoy the tactics of soccer.
Soccer's great.
It's an underrated sport, despite the fact that it's like the most popular sport in the world.
I was like,
in the United States.
I was going to say, when you said it's an underrated sport, I was like, that's such an American thing to say.
Of the people that I am forced to interact with based on the geographical location of my birth and the decisions I have made
just keep
to
going.
this point in my life, Those interactions lead me to believe that soccer is underrated in these parts.
Molten Rain turned tier 3 here from Clay Spicklemire. They have come in, or he was trying. He was trying to go for that Hallowed Fountain. It'll get a logic knot.
That's a massively important logic knot for Saracino. If you don't have that, you fall very far behind very quickly.
Land Destruction, just underrated.
That depends who you ask. Ooh, and speaking of the importance of that Molten Rain, miss on the third land for Saracino.
Okay, well that shows why we snapped off the logic knot.
Yeah, no kidding. Ooh, and here's something interesting. Clay has drawn Blood Moon and elected not to cast it because he only has non-basic lands. Yikes.
Yeah, your opponent only has non-basics too. I mean, he really wants a fetch land. He wants to do in the mono red fight. Is he in? I guess Clay feels he's not favored in the everyone has mountains game.
He also just has an uncastable Lingering Souls, and it's both Blood Moons in hand. Ugh.
Oh my gosh,
that Molten Rain was a lot better. I mean, honestly, he would have had them. The Blood Moon is a test spell. I mean, if you knew Saracino had Logic Knot, then the Blood Moon would have been an excellent test spell.
You should have just gone for it.
It's like, oh, I hope he counters this.
But then if it resolves, you're like, dang, it resolved.
Yeah.
Collective Brutality from Clay. He's escalating it by discarding Lingering Souls, so his hand is now just Blood Moons.
He gets to flashback the souls now, which is something.
Right, that's not bad.
If he's able to clear the way with this Brutality, flashback the souls, and then cast Blood Moon next turn, it's actually quite a bit better because it will actually be on the battlefield.
Ooh, and Jacob found a basic.
Smart.
You know, I don't know, because by not casting these Blood Moons, Jacob's real close to just being able to make Teferi. He's going to Logic Knot the Collective Brutality. Jacob has a Teferi in hand.
If Jacob makes his 5th land drop, then it's a really big problem.
I don't see Clay beating Teferi. Not with this kind of hand.
Yeah, that's just way too much beatdown.
It's like, oh, well, maybe we had to do the plan of, oh, my hand's bad, time to blow up the whole game. Blood Moon us both.
Right. If you had more information.
Yeah, and that's really it.
That would probably change the way that he played, but the way it was, it makes sense for Clay to play the way he did.
No land 5 for Saracino.
Might have picked up a Cryptic command, though.
Swing for 2. Jacob down to 12.
Start tossing those Blood Moons.
Yeah, you see he tapped him, telling his teammate, talking to Chris McCord there, says, yeah, I kind of just have to do it.
He does have a Faithless Looting. He could just discard them. He'll at least have more information before he has to cast if he leads on the looting.
If he leads on looting and the looting gets Cryptic commanded, then you just definitely go for the Blood Moon.
Yeah.
Here, we'll try for Blood Moon. Is there a Cryptic? Yes. Counter draw from Jacob. He'd really like to find that land 5. He's had 2 cards to do it, 1 off the Cryptic, 1 for the turn. He's found a Colonnade, but he also found a Sulphur Falls, and we have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. And with only 2 souls on the board, Teferi looks mighty nice.
Mm-hmm. It would take a Lightning Bolt to add to this to clean that up. You can attack the Teferi down to 3, and if that works, cast the Blood Moon.
Grey Drew Dreadbore.
Ooh, that's even better.
Young Pyromancer, that's the test.
And it's a great test, too, because it checks for Spell Snare.
And here's Dreadbore. Gets the Elemental token.
Oh, wow.
That just works. Big win for Clay. Swings for 2, Jacob to 10.
And we'll see what Saracino has for a follow-up. He's going to want a Sweeper. Leading on Celestial Purge means he's not going to have that. Looks like there was a bit of an issue. He wanted to cast Path to Exile.
He said one and used the other?
Well, no, he put one down and didn't say the other. So frequently, if you put the wrong card in your graveyard and say the name of the spell you want to cast, you will get the rewind.
Yep. Yeah,
but he must have just put the Celestial Purge in the graveyard and then said, oh, I wanted to cast Path to Exile, which if you did not say the name Path to Exile, then you're in trouble.
Faithless Looting from Spicklemire.
Saracino does now have 2 basic islands. The Blood Moon, it's getting worse in that department, though you turn Saracino off of white mana,
Yeah. Now,
Also, additional blue mana can be a big deal.
Blood Moon again from Clay.
Probably a must counter.
Cryptic again from Jacob, but he's down to 7 on the attack.
Jacob really wants that sweeper still. Path to Exile and a Spirit Token. I have to believe there's no sweeper.
We saw the situation in Game 1. Clay was able to then win via burn. Another Teferi. Plus. Untaps 2, says go. He's low on life points, but now it's on to see whether Clay can answer another Teferi.
It's like one of the cards in hand for Clay is another Molten Rain. That one's gotten quite a bit worse.
Well, at this point, it's a burn spell, and you see Clay's swinging upstairs. And this is a great answer, though, if Clay's on burn. Lightning Helix for one of the tokens.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge bummer for this plan. I think Molten Rain Kolaghan's Command is the holdings.
Check, is there we have a Bedlam Reveler in the graveyard yet? I don't think we do.
Yeah, we've been through Young Pyromancer. Haven't seen a Reveler yet.
10 a.m. Modern players, your round 4 pairings are being posted.
Jacob went up to 9 on that attack, and it's looking like he'll get to untap with Teferi. Kolaghan's Command from Clay. We'll have Jacob discard his last card, which is Wrath of God, and buys back Young Pyromancer. But the Wrath of God was likely the draw off the Teferi. It's why we didn't see it cast.
Right. And one of the 2 cards drawn this turn after the Teferi uptick was this Scalding Tarn for Saracino. Reasonable pressure for that other card to amount to something. He does have Colonnade as a blocker, though. Clay's going to make an attempt at that one. He does still have that Molten Rain in hand.
He's going to use Colonnade as an attacker, it looks like.
Perhaps has Cryptic Command back up.
Clay down to 13. I mean, Teferi's Plus does make 2 extra mana, and attacking with Colonnade is a way to sink that mana. Molten Rain from Spicklemire on the Colonnade. Makes an Elemental. We'll see what that last card is for Saracino.
This is one you would certainly love to counter. That 2 points and removing that Colonnade, which is the only blocker that Saracino currently potentially has available, is kind of a big deal.
It is Cryptic Command. He will counter tap. Really showing some respect for life points here. And I like that. If he's just trying to race with Colonnade, his Teferi's drawing him enough cards. He'll cast Supreme Verdict.
That's a big draw. Now he's kind of cruising towards a Teferi emblem.
Yeah. He could swing Colonnade this turn, but we don't know what he's drawn yet.
Yeah, if it's like a Logic Knot, you do want to leave that up.
Kolaghan's Command from Clay. If it's a counterspell, this should earn it.
Right. Yeah, casting it versus discarding, not a hugely difficult decision.
Looks like it was Secure the Wastes. And that's going to... Yeah, does that do it?
Clay won't be able to recover from it. It's not immediately lethal, but there's too much happening at that point.
Yeah, he can't sweep up that many 1/1s, that plus Colonnade. And it looks like, confirmed Clay did concede to the Secure the Waste. So Saracino will bring this one home for his team. Brian Koch, Jacob Saracino, and Matthew Cotrupe pick up the win. This was on table 2, so that should get them in a great spot for top 8. And then